Hey, listen, you guys are busy, and I got to tell you, thank you for taking time out of your busy days to join this conversation, to invest in yourself. This is going to be 45 minutes, boom, in and out, and what I can promise you is it's going to be a game changer for you. It is going to be an absolute game changer for you, whether you're in the Philippines, Atlanta, Denver, Boulder, LA, we've got Colorado. This is going to be awesome. So we've got a bunch of people joining. They're still coming in, which is fantastic. But I'm going to hit it here pretty quick because I want to honor everybody's time. All right. Amsterdam. Welcome, Laura, from Amsterdam. I love it. You know, we always sort of go back and forth on the time, right? When to do it. And we did it at 2 Eastern, but I certainly hope we're honoring other parts of the world. I think they're asleep in Asia or close to getting up. But all right, listen, I'm going to dig in, guys and gals, and thank you for sharing. This is going to be interactive, so stay ready. We're going to do polls. We're going to do chat box. We're going to do all that stuff. So lock in. So I can't tell you how pumped. I have so much passion. I was just telling a friend how much passion I have around this topic. So I'm super pumped that you joined. And you know, for those of you that don't know, my name is Molly Fletcher, and I wrote a book called The Energy Clock that released in January of this year, actually. And I'm the founder of a training program called The Energized Leader. And so you probably hear that, right? Like this lady wrote this book about energy, and, you know, she's got this training program called The Energized Leader. Man, she's probably got this energy thing figured out. Well, to say that I've had moments where I didn't have it figured out is a complete and total understatement. So check this out, right? So it's a Sunday night, and I leave my family. I'm based in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. I leave my family to head to the airport for a flight from Atlanta to LA for a Monday morning keynote speech in LA. And then Monday afternoon, I go on to Dallas for a midday keynote in Dallas on Tuesday. So I come off the stage in Dallas, race like a maniac to catch a flight to Philly to make a dinner that night in Philly and a Wednesday morning keynote in Philly. And then I go from Philly to Miami for a speech on Thursday in Miami and sort of this borderline kind of optional board meeting through Friday. Here's the thing. The weeks before and the weeks coming didn't look much different. So here's the truth, right? I was feeling super drained. I was feeling emotionally disconnected from my family, from our 3 daughters, from my husband. And I was totally exhausted. I was fatigued, and I was feeling just fried, bordering on kind of burnout. And here's the thing. I speak and train on peak performance. So yikes, right? This is kind of a problem. So at one point, I remember so distinctly thinking right before takeoff for one of my many sort of flights that week and the previous week and the previous week. And I remember just right before this one flight, right before takeoff, so distinctly thinking, I don't ever want to feel like this again. I don't ever want to feel this fatigue, this disconnected, you know, emotionally disconnected from my family, mentally fatigued, drained. I said, I don't want to feel this way. And so it was at that point, it was really at that moment where I really began to rethink and to think differently. And so here's the deal. Time management alone, it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. We have to effectively manage the energy that we bring to our time. Because here's the thing, you know, can we lead if we're exhausted and drained, whether it's at home or at work? Can we do meaningful work if we're super distracted and unfocused? No. Can we be present for our loved ones, for the people in our lives that matter most, if our tank is totally empty? No, we can't. No way. So here's the thing. Before we dig into today's webinar, one of the things I want to just tell you quickly is congratulations, right? Great job. You made it. So we're going to dive in. We're going to go deep here for 45 minutes. And what I want to just challenge you to do in the spirit of this topic is resist the urge to check your email or your phone I promise you, it'll be there when we're done. I promise. So just lock in for me, because what I can guarantee you is you're going to leave this 45 minutes looking at time and energy differently, with tools and tactics to unleash a better version of yourself on the things that matter most in your life. So here's the thing. Everybody's going to be muted, by the way, throughout the webinar, but there's going to be lots of opportunities to interact and chat polls and all that stuff. So like I said, be ready to lock in. So let's dig in. Let's dig in. So when you see this image, on the screen, what words come to mind? Just share it in the chat box. What comes up for you? We got Paige from France that joined. Welcome. What comes up? All right, overwhelmed. Somebody said, yeah, chaos, stress, chaos, uncertainty, stress, scattered, too much. Yeah, chaos, stressed, frustration, somebody said. Yeah, somebody said lost. Yeah, confused. For sure. All that, tired. Yes. Where do I start? Someone said. Absolutely. Great stuff. Exactly. That's what's happening inside this person's mind. But here's the thing. This isn't how we want to live, right? But we all find ourselves in this space at times, don't we? So I want to launch a really quick poll so I can get a sense of where everybody is, sort of how everybody's showing up. So I just launched this poll. So if you can, just take a shot, answer these 3 questions for me, if you would. And then I'll share these results with everybody when we finish. This just gives you a sense of where everybody is. And we have hundreds and hundreds of people on this webinar. This will just give you a little bit of sense. All right, these are coming in. They're coming in. I love it. This is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you. You guys are, I love this, man. Everybody is participating and locked in. Awesome. All right, good. Okay, we got a good bit. All right, I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results so that you can see it. So you can see this, guys. This is why I'm doing this webinar. This is why we do this work. Have you experienced higher than normal stress in the last 6 months? 96%. This is consistent with what our clients have told us. Have you experienced higher than normal anxiety in the last 6 months? 87%. This is what we're hearing. This is, you are not alone, right? Have you experienced higher than normal burnout in the last 6 months? 80%. So it's powerful, right? And I know it's helpful at times to get a sense for how other people are showing up in the world. And sometimes we don't want to talk about these things, but I hope you can see there's a lot of other people that feel this way. And here's the thing, right? When we think about this image, we've all been there before, right? We've all been there. I described it a minute ago. We've all been there. Some of us actually are probably there right now. So here's the thing. Here's some stats. When we look at senior leadership levels, right? 96% of senior leaders report feeling burned out. 1/3 of these described that burnout was really extreme. It was bad. And lastly, job burnout accounts for, how about this, an estimated $125 to $190 billion in healthcare spending annually, and it contributes to a number of chronic diseases. So I share these numbers with you just really for 2 reasons. 1, for you to know you're not alone. And 2, to share that we've got a problem. We've got a problem, and I hope this time together and maybe more will help. But it doesn't have to be this way. Here's the thing. As a sports agent for almost 20 years, I represented hundreds of athletes and coaches with, of course, a team of agents. And, at the highest level of sports, everyone has a ton of talent, but not everybody reaches their potential. So here's what I learned, right? That great results are not an accident. Great results are a byproduct of the decisions that you make about who and what gets your energy and why. I saw this firsthand, how the best manage their energy with discipline and with intention as an agent. They know, the best athletes and coaches in the world know that energy is the key to performance. Here's what's interesting. When I transitioned about 10 years ago from the sports agent space to the corporate world of sort of speaking and training, I couldn't help but notice that the business world had this odd obsession with time. And I'd spent 20 years in a world where the obsession was energy. You know, in business, people had this obsession with time, like, how can I maximize time? How can I maybe even micromanage my time? How can I max productivity out, right? How can I shove as much as I can into every minute of every day? You know, it was almost this world of reacting and surviving. And then what's scary, right, is getting up the next day to do it all over again. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Yeah, I've got a couple 100% in the chat box. You know, managing your energy is essential to performance, right? But too many people fail to realize who and what they give their energy to and why. And the result is, right, that they feel exhausted and burned out with no energy for what matters most. And this isn't how we want to lead at home, right? And it isn't how we want to lead at work. So there's a better way. And, you know, I can't wait to sort of walk you through this. So what if you could, imagine this, right? What if you could reimagine your time to make it align with your energy, your values, and your goals? What if you could reimagine your time and make it align with your energy, your values, and your goals? So this in part was sort of the challenge that I was trying to navigate, right? In that story that I shared at the beginning when I opened about that week of travel. And so it sort of relates to the question of, how do I make sure that I don't find myself in that situation again, right? That was the question that I was navigating. Here's the thing. Many of us know the name Tom Brady. You know, great leaders, like great athletes, they ask this question. Where will I focus my energy? So in January of this year, I released a book, The Energy Clock, to share a framework to help people align their energy and time with what matters most to them. In other words, to help people give more of themselves to what's most important and waste less of their time and resources on what's not. Because newsflash, right? We don't do this life thing twice. This life thing, this isn't a dress rehearsal. You know, the world is always changing, but we are more acutely, I think, right now aware of sort of those changes right now, because, you know, access to and sort of speed of information is kind of insane right now, right? And the expectation that we live inside of to respond and communicate so quickly has risen. So here's the thing, demands seem greater than ever for so many of us. And based on the polling, that's clear. In a recent American psychological survey, here's what came up. 74% of adults reported experiencing at least one symptom of stress in the past month. 64% of adults report work and money are a source of stress. 63% of adults say their own health is a significant source of their stress. 45% of adults report that stress is impacting sleep. And we know we need sleep. And 37% of adults report overeating due to stress. And here's the thing, this is scary. That survey wasn't taking into account the changing demands of energy and time right now, you know, inside of COVID. So let's dig into the characteristics, right, of burnout, right? Too many people are dealing, and we saw this with burnout right now. And you can see some, you know, indicators on the slide, right? Depletion of energy. Those are the things that are a sign of burnout, of you know, or negativity. You know, here's the thing, our attempt to stay on top and to stay ahead are causing us as people to make really significant compromises, and compromises in areas of our life that are really meaningful to us. You know, we see it all the time during our training inside of organizations. Our clients report that they feel that they must make tough choices between, you know, the work that needs to get done, and their own health, their family, and their happiness. But that's not what leadership is about. So question, what would you do if you had more time? What would you do if you had more time? Just share this with me in the chat box. What would you do if you had more time? I love what Mike said. Yeah, you'd hike, cool. Spend time with family, go to the beach, travel, work out, focus on fitness, exercise, play tennis, gym, read, work in the yard, sleep, get outdoors, rest, yoga, family, organize my house. Yes, read, get outside, focus on health, right? So this is what we're hearing. Most of our clients respond that they would spend more time with their family and friends. This is what we hear. They would exercise more, just like you're saying. They would sleep more. All of the above, Lisa said, I love it. They would enjoy more hobbies and have more community involvement, people say. Here's the thing, though. Time isn't the enemy. And maybe time isn't the problem. After all, time isn't a renewable resource. 86,400 seconds. 86,400 seconds are deposited into your account, into our accounts, if you will, every day. And just because we have the time, it's no guarantee that we'll perform the way that we desire, right? Time provides an opportunity, but by itself, it is no guarantee. It's no guarantee of adding any value. You know, for many of our clients, they sort of show up, right? But they lack the capacity once they get there, once they show up. So what if we could reimagine time? What if we could reimagine time to ensure that we bring our best to each moment in time? You know, as leaders, here's the thing. We're hardwired, aren't we, to do better. You are joining this webinar because you want to do better. Individuals and organizations try to be more productive. That's normal, and perform at higher levels. However, this often comes, right, at a cost. So how do some leaders rise to the challenge? How do they rise to the challenge? We need to shift our perspective and view demand through a different lens, not just time, but also energy. All right, so stay with me here. Stay with me here. Performance is the completion of a task, right? We must consider the how. You know, for most people, the how is based on time alone. But time is a poor measurement of performance. Time provides opportunity, but it is no guarantee that we're going to do our best. Here's the thing. The energy clock helps us see that what matters more than time and sort of the time you spend on something, right, is the energy that you bring to it. Right? Remember what we learned in school? We learned this in school. Energy equals the capacity to do work. Energy equals the capacity to do work. At what age, let me ask this question, throw me some responses here in the chat box. At what age do you think our capacity peaks? When do you think your capacity as a human being sort of peaks? When do you think that is? Share that with me if you would. When do you think your capacity peaks? Never. Boom. 25, 30, 25, 25, 30, 25, 30, 25. You guys are smart. I love this. 27, 25. All right. Good stuff. Good guesses. Awesome. So we had a lot of people nail it, right? The answer is 30. Demand, both personally and professionally, it increases as we age. Because what happens, right? We get jobs, we have houses, we have kids, we have condos, we have bosses, we have employees, we have more responsibility, we have more accountability, right? You know, data shows that the human capacity peaks at 30. And the challenge is this: when capacity isn't there to meet the demand, that's a problem. So what happens? How does that show up in our performance? When our capacity isn't there to meet demand, what happens? For most of us, it shows up with a compromise, right? Compromise usually with ourselves, with important relationships, and maybe with our happiness. Here's the good news. We can slow down the decline of capacity and even improve it through training. So the benefit of focusing on energy is that we can expand our capacity. Because while time is not renewable, energy is renewable. Just as we hold ourselves accountable to being somewhere on time, we want to hold ourselves accountable in how we invest our energy with whom and for what. So here's what we see with our Energized Leader training. It is that our clients are typically really successful people in whatever their chosen careers might be because they drive for results. That's how they're wired, right? So remember when I asked you, if you had more time, what would you do with it? Let me ask that question a little bit of a different way. What areas of your life matter so much to you that failure overall is not an option? What areas of your life matter so much that failure overall is not an option? Share that with me. Share that with me. What areas of your life matter so much that failure is not an option? Parenting, family, work, myself, my marriage, kids, myself, my mom from London. I love it. My mom. I'm right there too with my parents. Whew. Personal growth. I love them so much. Job success and kids' happiness. Yes. So thank you for this. This is fantastic. My marriage, Gail said, yeah. What areas of your life matter so much that failure isn't an option? I love flipping that question and asking it that way. Here's what our clients tell us. Not too different from what I just saw. Family, friends, work, finances, community, giving back, right? Acts of service, happiness, living true to your values, people say. Health, lots of people say. Energy influences your performance as a leader in a really big way. So here's the thing. Energy gives us the capacity to do work, right? We've talked about that. There's physical, there's emotional, there's mental, there's spiritual, and there's social energy. That's how I think and we think about energy. And all of those play into how we show up, right? Our performance can be significantly impacted when we have a sense that maybe we're out of alignment. And what happens is it opens the door to a cascade of problems, right? In the form of, illness, stress, regret, depression, anger, our ability even to regulate our emotions, maybe even it shows up as a lack of, sort of mental sharpness, right? So seeking what is important becomes an imperative part of the equation, right? Here's the thing. Our clients often are leaders that are at the top of their game when it comes to performance at work. It's rare that they attend our training as some kind of intervention, right? To put it another way, here's the thing though. They're like a car that can accelerate really, really fast, but it has no steering capability, right? So in the short run, they're getting a ton done. They're getting a lot done, and they're getting it done at a really high speed. But in the long run, there's going to be a crash. A significant challenge for many of our clients is finding the connection between what they do on a daily basis and what matters most to them. What they do on a daily basis and what matters most to them. I'll tell you this story. So imagine wherever you are in the world, we have people from all over the world. So imagine in your downtown area or somewhere close, imagine this. Imagine two really tall buildings, like two sort of skyscraper, really high, tall buildings. And imagine that they're, call it 500 feet apart, okay? And imagine that I laid a plank over top of those two buildings. And imagine that the plank was about 1.5 inches thick. And imagine that it was maybe 1.5 feet wide. Okay, so we've got two buildings really high. They're 500 feet apart. We have a plank across the top. The plank is 1.5 inches thick, and it's about 1.5 feet wide. So imagine if I asked you to walk across that plank. And by the way, let's imagine it's a beautiful day, not a lot of wind, right? Now, here's the thing. If you walk across that plank, I just have to tell you this. If you walk across that plank, it kind of dips a little bit in the middle. And we've done this, okay? And so here's the thing. When people walk across the plank, by the way, 80% of them, they make it to the other side. But here's the thing. If you don't, the 20% that don't make it, it's over, right? Party's over. You're going to heaven. So let me ask you a question. How many people would walk across that plank to the other side of that plank, to one side of the building to the other, for $500,000. How many people would do it? Tell me in the chat box. How many people would do it? $500,000. 80% of the time you make it. Right, here's somebody go, not me. I'm not doing it. 500 grand, that's an interesting number. By the way, no tax on this. Let's pretend. Somebody said, okay, there's no parachute, Josh. Sorry, hate to tell you. No way, no way, no way, no way. Somebody said I would. Somebody said not enough money. Okay, so let's do this. Let's pretend, let's up it. Let's take $1 million. $1 million. $1 million. A couple of people said, maybe $1 million. So 80% of the time you make it. It's a beautiful day, right? No win. $1 million. How many people would do it? Nope. I'm getting nope. I'm getting somebody's thinking about it, right? Somebody said, yes, I would, right? Nope. No way. Somebody said, yes. No. Okay. Somebody said they're afraid of heights. Somebody said $1 million, still no way. All right, here, let me ask it this way. Let me ask you this. How many people would walk across that plank if the people in your life that mattered the most to you, the people that you love the most, were on the other side, and the only way you could save them, the only way, is if you walked across that plank? How many people would do it now? How many people would do it now? Yep. Everybody's going, yes, yep, for sure. Absolutely, yes, 100%. No doubt, of course, definitely, everybody said absolutely. Here's the thing. When we know why we do what we do, it changes what we do. It changes what we do. When we have a real clear purpose, when something matters, then guess what? It changes what we do. So let's break this down some more. When we think about seeking the important, because when we seek the important, it involves three things, and it can change what we do. So let's dig in. Number one, it involves clarity on our core values. Clarity on our core values. Our values, as many of us know, our values inform us, right, of what's important and what's not, right? And here's the thing, tension is created when values are not aligned, when they're out of alignment with what we value becomes compromised, right? When tension's created, when values are out of alignment, that's when tension sort of is created, and what we value then sort of becomes compromised. You know, organizations understand the need to provide a vision, don't they? It's like this rite of passage. It prevents them, doesn't organizations have vision sort of statements, right? Mission statements, because it prevents them from becoming all things to all people, so to speak, right? It keeps them sort of focused on their values. It keeps them focused on what matters most. Like Nike says, this is their value vision, to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And Nike says, if you have a body, you're an athlete. I love it. Southwest Airlines, here's their vision: to connect people to what's important in their lives through friendly and reliable, low-cost travel. That's their vision. So companies have vision, companies have missions. Here's the thing. Why don't we? Why don't people have them too? Why don't people have them also? Because if you haven't defined this for yourself, then guess what? It's being defined by your circumstances, by your environment, or by other people. So let's keep going. Number two, we have to have clarity on what we aspire to be. You know, most of you can probably rattle off your organization's purpose, right? But what about our own? We've got to focus on our own. It's equally important for leaders, I think, to have clear purpose statements for ourselves, because it provides, such a powerful tool when we're faced with resistance. And resistance, isn't it? We're seeing a little bit of it now, is going to rear its ugly head when we try to make changes in our lives that will benefit us, right? Resistance shows up, right? Have you ever tried to go on a diet and bumped up against a little resistance? Have you ever tried to, maybe, get rid of a bad habit and bumped up against a little resistance? Yes. Clarity on our purpose impacts how we show up as leaders, and it's critical in the most challenging times. Some of you, this is one of my favorite books. Some of you may have read Viktor Frankl's book. It's called A Man's Search for Meaning. And it sort of chronicles his experience as a prisoner in the Nazi concentration camps during World War II. And in it, Victor, he identified the importance of meaning despite circumstance, environment, or other people. I love this. He said this is cool. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things under extraordinary circumstances as long as they find meaning. That plank walk is a perfect example of that. Everybody said yes once they knew it. Viktor Frankl's book, somebody asked, A Man's Search for Meaning. So as part of our Energized Leaders training with leaders and with teams, we actually walk people through how to do this, by, how to sort of lock in on a purpose statement. And by the end of their time with us, the process, that time together, they're able to answer these 3 questions, these really very important 3 questions. What are your core values? Who are you at your best? And what matters most? Here's the thing. Inside of those 3 questions is the core of your purpose statement that can help guide you, as a leader. All right, number 3, clarity of how we want to be defined and our legacy. Okay, so here we go. Imagine this, like many of you have had eye exams, right? You've had eye exams. And so, when you go get your eyes examined and they have you like cram your head into that little tiny machine, you shove your head in there and there's this picture, right? And it's probably a little bit blurry at first, right? It's a picture of a, hot air balloon or maybe a red barn kind of way out in the field. And you can't quite make it out, right? Like it's super fuzzy. The edges are blurry. The details are super fuzzy. And then, they hit a couple buttons and they adjust a few dials. And then suddenly the image is totally in focus, right? Sharp edges, clear lines. That's the power of clarity. When something that was out of focus becomes clear and unambiguous, right? That clarity is what you must seek as a leader. Bronnie Ware wrote a book. She wrote a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And she worked in palliative care, right? Her patients were people who had gone home to die. And when she asked people about any regrets that they had, here's the common themes that surfaced again and again and again. What do you think they are? Let me ask that real quick. What do you think she heard? What do you think she heard? Tell me, what do you think she heard? What were some of the answers when she asked people about the biggest regrets that they had? What do you think came up? Broken relationships, not enough time with family, relationships, working too much. Yeah, wrong priorities, spending too much time working. Didn't make time enjoying life, didn't accomplish a goal, not doing the things that they wanted to in their life, not following their dreams. Someone said, yeah. Not following their dreams, Laura said, another one. Yeah, too much working. Okay, so here's what was most common, and you guys are awesome. You're nailing it, right? So number 1, here's what she heard. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. I wish that I had the courage to express my feelings was another one. I wish that I had stayed in touch with my friends was another one. I wish that I had let myself be happier. Awareness around this is a key as we consider the next topic, which is aligning with the important. Action aligned with what's important is what is integral. Because once we've built that awareness, we have to seek alignment to what is important through how we behave, right? Through what we do. So these are 2 areas. There's emotional and mental energy, and they're intricately linked together. And they're critically important to our ability to perform, right? Because emotions sort of define our orientation, right? At any given time, who we are in relationships, conflict, good times, challenges, that's integral there. The question is, have we set up systems in our life to ensure that we show up emotionally ready? Here's the thing, research in the world of happiness, health, and performance, it shows this. It shows that positive emotions like joy, like kindness, right? Like gratitude, like optimism, hope, all determine who shows up. If we do not have sort of good routines or systems to build positive emotions, then in life's storms, we can find ourselves slipping into survival mode, which may not be aligned with our values. Right? Without seeking alignment to our purpose, it becomes too easy to be in a reactive state, which is kind of a defiant, like, danger zone for any leader, right? That's not where we want to be. And it's directly linked to our emotional energy and our mental energy, right? Our emotional state at any given time has a total direct influence on our thinking, on how we think, right? Our mental energy is influenced by two things. It's influenced by two things: how we conduct our work and the role of our inner voice, our narrative that so often guides our behaviors. We all have this inner voice, don't we? This self-talk. So Alabama head football coach Nick Saban, many of us know him, right? I mean, this guy's a pretty darn good football coach. Here's what Nick reminds his players of. He says to his guys, be where your feet are. Be where your feet are. You know what he's saying? Be present. You know, for us, it's a reminder when we hear this, be present, show up. Because when we be where our feet are, when we think about that statement, it grounds you, doesn't it, in the moment? But it's tough, isn't it, in this 24/7 world that we live in? You know, does anyone feel like maybe right now that you're being asked to do more with less, right? Are demands increasing? Yes, they are. And there is no indication, is there, that it's going to slow down? I'm not seeing any indication of that. You know, we live in a world that's constantly battling for our attention. And as leaders, sometimes the last person you take care of is yourself. But that has unintended consequences. You know, we must be intentional about our attention. We've got to be intentional about our attention. Often we attempt, don't we, to get it all done. You know, I've been guilty of this absolutely by, multitasking and juggling, constantly, which sets us up to compromise, doesn't it, our performance? You know, our mental energy, it's fueled by our mindset, or it's sort of fueled by, put another way, right? It's sort of fueled by your inner voice, your self-talk. We all have this inner voice. And it's sort of, isn't it? It's this master storyteller. It's really good, right? Meaning that, like your inner voice, it sort of drives your behaviors and who will show up at any given moment. So you have to ask yourself, right? You got to ask yourself this: do you have the right inner voice, right? Do you have the right inner voice? Because your inner voice is the story that you tell yourself, which supports your values. It supports your character traits. And guess what? It supports your actions, right? So alignment, when we think about this, like energy and what matters most. Here's the thing. I love this graphic because alignment is fueled by the energy that we bring emotionally and mentally. And we've got to be really good stewards of what a precious resource, our emotional and mental energy. These are big. Too often, I think I see these two arrows, they don't converge. They don't converge. And we waste our energy on things that don't matter. And we have too little energy for what does matter. That's why I'm so passionate about this topic and why I think it's so important. So let's talk about setting your energy clock. Here's the thing. It's one thing to know that managing your energy is important, and it's another to do it. Because vision without action, I love this quote, it's just a daydream. So if we set our energy clock with intention, we're going to live a life of purpose. So I want to leave you with the energy audit. And I'm going to email this to you, by the way. Also, you're going to get an email from me after with a copy of this audit. But here's the thing, and you can see the graphic on the screen. It goes like this. So there's energizers in our life, right? These are things that bring you energy. I call this the green zone in the book, right? What gives you energy? So for me, it's, working out in the morning, doing things like this, right? Trying to share stuff that might help other people, playing and hanging out with our girls. I love it. Playing golf with my husband, playing golf with my family. So here's the thing. Whatever it is that energizes you, we want to do more of this, right? We want to do more of this, and we want to be intentional about protecting this time in our calendars. We want to protect this time in our calendars. And then there's drainers, right? What makes you exhausted, right? We call this the red zone. So these are things that just drain you. And so, these are things like when my kids ask me what's for dinner, I'm not a very good cook, or, You know, in normal times, like delayed flights, right? Those things are tough. Those are drainers. So the goal is, right, whatever it is that drains your energy, we want to eliminate those. We want to better manage your energy around it. And then there's the neutrals, right, which just sort of exist. I call this the orange zone. And you know, this is going to the grocery store, sort of mindless chores around the house, stuff like that. So for these, here's the trick. We want to be as efficient as we can. We want to automate them, streamline them, or maybe delegate them. So here's the thing. You're going to get a free download, and you'll get a PDF worksheet that looks like this, that I'm going to send via email to you this afternoon. That is just like this, and it'll give you some instructions on it. So print it out, and what I would challenge you to do is just take 20 minutes. That's all it takes. And really go through the exercise, please. And then, you know, the email will also include a link to a virtual group coaching program that we have called Game Changer Leadership Huddles. And so if there is anything that this pandemic, I think, has taught all of us, is that we have to reimagine how we lead, how we show up personally and professionally. That is what people will remember, right? Game Changer Leadership Huddles is sort of my coaching program. And each month, this is what we do. We focus on a new personal development topic. We have challenging conversations together, and we share best practices as a community. It's an amazing community. It's awesome. The huddles are live. They're live, and they're just 57 minutes. 57 minutes, is less than an hour. And in between, we stay connected. The group stays connected on a Facebook group, a private Facebook group. It's awesome. It's an awesome community. I think, actually, I'm seeing this in the chat, but I think one of our huddle members is on the webinar. So I'm going to just call you out, Renee. I'm throwing you the ball here. I'm going to throw you on the spot. Renee, maybe you can just share quickly, why did you join, and what have you gotten out of it? Well, like, what do you dig about it?
Hi, Molly.
Girl.
Thank you. So the reason that I joined was because with the virus, with COVID-19, I'm really having to learn how to lead in an entirely new way. I mean, we have the pandemic. I'm having to lead virtually, and there's so much negativity and stress and anxiety surrounding us and uncertainty. It's very challenging. And I've really learned from your huddles how to understand how to motivate myself and my team to stay positive and to strive, as you say, for the next level of greatness and how to keep moving forward. One of the things that I've really loved is it's how you kind of have an insight to what I need to hear in these huddles. It's like you have an inside look into what's going on in my world, and when I attend and I listen to the information that you send out each week, and then in the huddle, it's very relevant to what's going on, and I can relate to it. The one thing that I've learned the most is that when and if I get my environment right, my team, every single one person on my team is going to have the capacity to do incredible things. And that's my ultimate goal. And the one thing that I've learned from, we were talking about the playbook earlier, and I think Coach Rivers says it the best, and it really resonated with me, is that I'm not coaching to who my team is, but who they should be.
Oh, cool.
And so you've really struck a chord with me, and all of the material that you've sent out and everything that you've said is just, I can really relate to.
Oh, well, Renee, awesome. I'm sorry to throw you on the spot, but I appreciate it. And there's a whole bunch of amazing women and men like Renee in this awesome community. And so if you're interested in being part of this community with Renee and lots of other awesome people, my team just dropped a link in for more information in the chat box. And, you know, for attendees today, this is just for attendees today who attended the webinar, you can join for $39 a month using a special code just for you called, the code is ENERGY. The code is ENERGY. And this code is going to be good for just 1 week. So be sure to sign up by October 22nd. You know, we have some incredible topics coming up. September, we're talking about navigating change and uncertainty. You know, we've talked about resilience, leading with empathy. We're talking about embracing difficult conversations. And it is a powerful dialogue. And inside of the Huddle platform, you can go back and rewind the tape and watch previous Huddles. And then, of course, join the Huddles live when we have them. And if you can't attend them, they're all recorded and you can get them right inside of the Huddle platform. So my hope is this time together really helps you reimagine your energy that you bring to your time. Because here's the thing, imagine, you know, if you were able to, imagine if you had a strategic approach to maximize your energy. Imagine if your time and your energy and priorities were aligned. By leaning into that energy audit, you're going to be able to do that. Here's my deepest desire for everybody that joined, and my heartfelt, truly my heartfelt prayer is that you live a life that aligns your energy with your values and with your priorities in order for you to make your greatest impact on the people in your life and the people that you lead. If you have any questions at all, shoot us an email at info@mollyfletcher.com. Everybody stay safe, and thanks so much for taking time to invest in you. Be safe, everybody.